Power Talk, brought to you by ABB. Power and productivity for a better world.
To start off with you, Silas, I mean, you worked inside the system in City Power for many years. How difficult is it to work out an investment plan so things don't happen like what we've seen on this show?
Yeah. It's not an easy process to come up with how much is needed to be invested, but mathematically it should be easy. You take the assets that you have and you take when were they commissioned, and then you work back as to by when should they have been replaced. Then you start working on what you call a wish list and probability list. But there's lots of applications that come from individual customers and clients that want to be connected to the grid that you have to take as well. But you should not forget those that have not yet come to your door to apply for electricity. So a lot of forecasting comes into play. If you look at Joburg, it should be easier for Joburg because it's not as vast as the Eastern Cape by land, and you can tell while you're driving that there's some development coming here. Then your planner should go check what's happening. But you know, if you look at the process itself, if you have enough planners internally as the engineers, the surveyors, then you definitely need external help from consultants because they also have a lot of experience. So that's when then you come up with this huge amount that you believe should be what you invest in, and then you go to your finance heads and then you confuse them to death as to how much they have to go out and ask for money. Then you go to the political structures, the portfolio committees, and then the mayoral committees, and then council, and then you know the money comes onto your table. But the key thing there is there's lots of information that you get from the public, but you should also have good high-level confidence of what are the probabilities of somebody else coming to you. So the forecasting and the understanding of the game plays a very key role.
So Chris, I mean, clearly there's a lot of planning and a lot of money going into keeping up this infrastructure. Why do you think then there are so many problems?
Well, I think one subject that I don't think Silas has touched on, but I know he's very aware of these issues, and that is the key importance of a accurate asset register. And in the history of South Africa, you know, towards the new era, and at the end of the old era, I think this matter got really out of hand, and municipalities had very little grip on the equipment, where it was situated, when it was bought, how old it was, when it needed repair, etc. So the starting point in this, there are two aspects. On the one hand, as Silas rightly pointed out, you need to forecast the demand for electricity. On the other hand, you need to know what you've got accurately, where it is and how old it is. And this is where expertise of consultants comes in, doing surveys, doing audits, bringing information up to date. And once you've got an accurate handle on the equipment, your assets, then you can start thinking about when they need replacing, when they need maintaining. And I think a lot of work has taken place in this field. I know at City Power and of course other municipalities as well. But the sad thing is that there was a period, a long period, when this matter was completely out of hand.
How difficult is it though? I mean, one figure we've got is that in May alone, 15 million rand, that's about nearly $2 million US worth of copper was stolen in 1 month. I mean, when you're trying to work and plan, how much more difficult does that make it?
Look, to fight the thieves, you have to think like a thief. So they plan, so you need to have your own planners. What the industry is not stating is how much has been spent on security. It's so much money being spent on security to make sure that theft is minimal. But you know, thieves have got internal intelligence as well. So when you have a security guard at one point, that point is not hit at all, and then then they go to another point. But you know, in Joburg in particular, I know there's infiltration, and we have to say it because then they have to know. We've infiltrated these syndicates. There's lots of syndicates operating in Johannesburg, and every time they have to hit. Most of the time, we know where they're going to hit, and that's how we arrest them because of the infiltration. But where is that money to come from? Is it from your tariff? It's very difficult to raise. The security companies themselves are part of the syndicates. You know, You get another security company to guard an existing security company, and you find that the existing security company is the one that's stealing. So, you know, South Africa has got a lot to learn. I personally believe that every electrical infrastructure has to be registered as an asset of the country that should be stated as a national asset, meaning the army, the SAPS, the metropolis should actually be the ones that make sure that no one gets near that asset without authorization. So if they see me parking next to a substation, they must ask me, what are you doing here? Have you got authorization to be here? Because really, electricity leads the economy. So every time there's theft, it's actually what gets hit bad is the economy. It's the electricity infrastructure we can replace any time. But the opportunity on the economy of what we will have lost, jobs to have been created, will never come back.
I mean, Chris, I mean, do you think it's that drastic that we should have soldiers actually guarding electricity substations in this country?
Yes, I do. You know, one of the dangers in this whole situation is that the price of copper is going one direction, and that is up. And that means the incentive for theft is going up and up every day. So you have to develop a strategy and a plan to deal with this, and it has to be done at a very high level. If I can just touch on the costs, and Silas has mentioned some of the costs, I see 4 aspects to the cost of copper theft. First of all, there's the cost of this huge security. This is non-value adding costs. It doesn't add anything to the value of the product delivered to the customer. Then there's the cost of the replacement of the stolen cables, etc. This is enormous in its own right, but far bigger is the cost of what is called unserved energy. In other words, electricity that you would have sold and generated revenue from. The utilities are not generating that revenue because they're not delivering the electricity. So that's what we call the cost of unserved energy. And then finally, there's the cost to the economy. And the cost to the economy can be 100 times more than all these other costs put together. In other words, the loss of productivity in the productive economy.